We're into the final 3 days, and as transfer deadline day approaches, many Arsenal fans have the same question: who are Arsenal signing? Well, today we'll get a massive update on a new winger from Fabrizio Romano, also get the latest on any outgoings, and find out if Leicester are signing a replacement for Youri Tielemans. Yo, what is going on guys? My name is Babs14 and welcome back to your boys channel. Transfers FC, the finale will soon be upon us, so my friends, if you have enjoyed the content over the course of the summer, smash a like, why don't you, and subscribe if you are new, and join the Team 14 revolution as we close into 150,000 subscribers. But let's get into the massive update on the wide forward, and no better place to start than Fabrizio Romano, who says that Arsenal will try to find the right opportunity with Edu and Mikel Arteta busy in the next hours and days. Expect late movement from Arsenal. So Arsenal are expected to be busy as we approach transfer deadline day, and they have their main targets. As confirmed last week by David Ornstein, that man is Pedro Neto. And in terms of the potential selling club in Wolves, let's just say they're active, as they have reached the full agreements for 18 million euros to sign Sasa Kalajic, which takes their total summer spend to 120 million pounds. That is more than Arsenal, and in terms of net spend, they've only really sold Morgan Gibbs-White for the price tag of 35 million pounds. Them spending that massive amount of money without having the finances of an elite club, maybe they'll be open to cashing in on one of their key assets like Pedro Neto. And as Fabrizio Romano says, it's up to Arsenal if they want to try, and it's not an easy one as Wolves want a bid of more than 50 million pounds. This all comes down to Arsenal, down to their finances and also their valuation of Pedro Neto. He is a fantastic young wide forward with so much potential, so if they believe spending that 50 million pounds is worth for Pedro Neto, with the finances the owners have made available and the departure of Nicola Pepe, then a transfer could definitely be possible. But the reason why the likes of Fabrizio Romano and David Ornstein keep saying that this looks like being a difficult transfer is because it seems like there is a reluctance on Arsenal's side to stump up that 50 million pounds. But in terms of the player's agent in George Mendes, he was actually in attendance to watch Wolves play in their last game. Now Mendes is not a Wolves fan, but does have a massive say there behind the scenes. But first and foremost, he is the agent of Pedro Neto and Ruben Neves. And it's not really often that you see Mendes attending Wolves games unless there is a contract or a transfer to be negotiated. If anything is going to happen, then I think Mendes holds all of the keys. He's very close to Edu Gaspar and very close to Wolves. He is the man in the middle, and if you can negotiate some sort of agreement, then maybe Arsenal can sign Pedro Neto. But as things stand, in my own opinion, as Fabrizio says, as David Ornstein says, it's looking unlikely, but never say never. But bringing it back to George Mendes for a second, even if Arsenal don't sign Pedro Neto, Mendes is a man with a lot of clients, and one of those players is Real Madrid's Marco Asensio. And Fabrizio Romano has said Marco Asensio has been offered by his agents to many important English clubs, including Arsenal and Man United, in the last 2 weeks. Asensio is looking for an opportunity, and he's trying to find a nice opportunity because he wants to play. 26 years of age, the once wonder kid of Real Madrid, Marco Asensio is now kind of an outcast. Now despite Asensio not being a regular starter, he has just come off his best goal scoring season with 10 league goals. And the profile of the player is very important to keep in mind. Most of Asensio's games last year came on the right hand side as a right winger, and just like Bukayo Saka, he is also left footed. With just 1 year left on his Real Madrid contract, is Marco Asensio going to be the backup if Arsenal can't sign Pedro Neto? Well, Fabrizio Romano says for Arsenal there is no direct negotiations with Real Madrid, but the relationship with George Mendes is always very good, so it could be a last minute idea, but at the moment it's not a negotiation. Despite the player being offered, Arsenal have not entered negotiations because I think they have other key targets. The likes of Pedro Neto, Yeremy Pino and other names come first, but on transfer deadline day, if Arsenal still have not signed their wide forward, as an emergency option, don't be surprised if Arsenal make a move for Marco Asensio on maybe a short-term loan transfer with maybe an option to buy. Fabrizio Romano also says, I would keep my eye on some surprising names until the end because Arsenal will work as always on the names they really want, And not on players they just want to sign as one more and nothing else. They want to sign the perfect player. And while we're on the topic of surprising names, according to the Independent's Miguel Delaney, with Wolves being highly reluctant to sell Neto, it could see Arsenal go in for Wilfried Zaha. The Crystal Palace talisman, now 29 years of age and last year was on fire. I think he had 15 league goals, his personal best season. And in terms of profiles, he is far more of a left winger, but in terms of that Premier League experience, adaptation would not be an issue for Wilfried Zaha, and coming straight into the squad and maybe into the starting 11, Zaha could be a very good option in my opinion. But at the same time, as Fabrizio says, Crystal Palace want to keep Zaha. I would not sell unless they get a crazy fee. Now, despite the player entering the final year of his Palace contract, earlier in the window there were some reports that Zaha might have been available for £25 to £30 million. But now, with only 3 days left of the window, Crystal Palace just don't want to lose their main man, because they won't have time to replace him. But as always, money does talk, so if Arsenal offer a crazy amount of money, £40–50 million, Crystal Palace might consider. But at the same time, there are also rumours that Chelsea have bigger interest than Arsenal. Fabrizio Romano also says, let's keep an eye on top talent Mykhailo Mudryk. Everton had a €30 million verbal proposal turned down by Shakhtar last week. Arsenal have explored the conditions of a Mudryk deal a few days ago, but just on the player's side. Many clubs want him and want to watch until the end. We discussed Mudryk on his very own channel a few days ago. A Ukrainian international, 21 years of age. The superpower of this player is his pace. This guy is electrifying quick and is also left-footed. He is a very sound technician but plays on the left-hand side. He's not the exact profile that Arsenal are looking for, but in terms of potential, it does look insane. Now, the fact that Everton have had a €30 million bid already rejected indicates the price tag is going to be above that, potentially closer to 40. Spending that sort of money on a player that is playing in Ukraine is a massive risk, but the fact that Arsenal have explored the transfer and contacted the agents of the player, he's definitely a player the club is looking at. And as we approach the deadline, let's just keep an eye on Mykhailo Mudryk. Moving on to the other Arsenal transfer news. And starting off with Ainsley Maitland-Niles. As Mark Byron says, Bournemouth and Southampton are now very much the two viable options for Maitland-Niles. No move is close at this stage, however, so still work to be done if he is to leave Arsenal in this window. There's also been some rumours of West Ham, so one can only imagine, with the amount of clubs that want to sign this player, Arsenal have to use that as leverage to get the best possible transfer, which at this stage looks like a loan with an option to buy. But one thing's for sure, that new midfielder is not going to be Lucas Paqueta, who is officially signed for West Ham United for the fee of €60 million. So a confirmed player that Arsenal had interest in is coming to the Premier League, he's coming to London, but he's not coming to Arsenal. I think West Ham have got themselves a fantastic player, and I think in terms of that price tag, there is also a lot in add-ons. In terms of the base fee, according to Fabrizio, it's €40 million. I think West Ham have got themselves a fantastic deal, and it's a bit of a shame that Arsenal couldn't sign him, but at the same time it looks like Arsenal have identified that right wing as a bigger priority. And you even had the Lyon president say, it's unfortunate that Paqueta is leaving, but he wanted to leave. We thought that we'd have some very big clubs come in, but we didn't have them. And then we were forced to speak at the last minute with West Ham. So clearly the idea at Lyon was a massive club like Arsenal were going to make their move, but that never came around. Talk to me down below in the comments on your thoughts on Arsenal not making a move for Lucas Paqueta. But in terms of the other targets, the main one is Leicester's Youri Tielemans. And Leicester themselves are now close to finding an agreement to sign midfielder Amin Harit. So Leicester are signing a new midfielder, and many people believe that might be the replacement for the outgoing Youri Tielemans. Via the transfer checker, Tielemans has sold his family home in Corn, Leicestershire, and is now living in a temporary accommodation. Tielemans and his family expect to get a late move to another Premier League club. Arsenal have always been the favourites, but Man United, Liverpool and Newcastle have also been rumoured through the summer. So Tielemans is expecting to leave Leicester, but the only thing that has ever held this transfer back is the price tag. And in terms of that price tag, there has been somewhat of a break in developments. And on that price tag, Fabrizio Romano says that Leicester are asking for about £35 to £40 million for Youri Tielemans. Arsenal have no intention to pay such an amount for a player who has 1 year left on his contract. In the past, all the reports have said that a price tag will be closer to 25 to 30 million pounds. If the price tag is indeed closer to 40 million pounds, I can somewhat understand why Arsenal have been reluctant to make an offer. In terms of the player, he was balling out for Leicester in their last game. Despite them losing 2-1 to Chelsea, he put in a masterclass with 6 key passes, 3 big chances created, a 93% passing accuracy, and winning 8 out of 9 ground duels. I still think he's an amazing player, and if Arsenal were to get their hands on him, I think he would improve the squad, the first team. But if the price tag remains at 35 to 40 million pounds, I don't think Arsenal are going to pay that. But one can only imagine that as we get closer and closer to the end of the window, Leicester are surely going to lower that price tag, because if they don't and no one signs him, he is going to leave on a free transfer next summer. Moving on to the other Arsenal news today, and starting off with Arsenal loanee Nuno Tavares once again thriving in Ligue 1. As for the 3rd time in 4 games, Nuno Tavares scored once again for Marseille. In the process, he was also named in the Who Scored Ligue 1 Team of the Week, and has now scored as many goals this year in Ligue 1 as Lionel Messi. I mean, those stats are crazy, and Tavares keeps on scoring goals, I think all of them outside the box, this time on his weaker right foot, cutting inside and smashing it in bottom left bins. It's just very ironic because at Arsenal, every time the player would shoot, without fail, the shots would always end up in rosette. Aaron Ramsdale on Arsenal's win versus Fulham says, "That's the loudest I've ever heard the stadium since I've been here. As a fan lucky to be inside the Emirates Stadium, the atmosphere was sensational, the vibes were immaculate." And there has been some talk after the game from rival fans and pundits, were Arsenal over celebrating? Well, my friends, I don't think over celebrations exist in football, especially when you score late winners. Isn't the whole point of football in the first place to be happy, to gain joy? But if the smiles of Arsenal make others cry, then long may it continue and cry some more. Moving on to the XG tiers for the season. As you can see on the top right hand side, alongside Liverpool and Man City, Arsenal are thriving. Currently the 3rd best attack and the 2nd best defence. It's got many Arsenal fans thinking, what are the ambitions for the season and how far can this Arsenal team go? Are the ambitions above the Champions League? For myself, I keep saying let's move in silence, because I still think this Arsenal team has a long way to go. And looking at Man City and the experience they have, the quality they have, the squad they have, for Arsenal, I want to see us pass some bigger tests first. If we can beat Man United at Old Trafford, beat the likes of Tottenham at the Emirates in October, and get results against Man City and Liverpool in the same month, and if we can get through that, then maybe we can reconsider. But until then, let's just calm down a little bit, relax, and take it game by game. But that is the video there, so hopefully you have enjoyed. Smash a like if you have, and subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you would like to follow your boy on all of his social medias, then the links are down below in the description. But that was today's episode of the Transfers FC, and the finale is soon approaching, and for Arsenal, I'm expectant of a new signing to end the window on a bang. Is that going to happen? We're going to have to wait and see. But until then, take care of yourselves, and in a bit.